Hey guys, I was asked to do a couple of videos for you guys to kind of give you an indication on how to break down these tests. I'm going to be using the release test from 2016 and the release test from 2017 because I feel that we've probably used 2018 just recently. Those items, as they are like that, probably won't be represented on the STAAR test this year. They'll probably move back to 16 stuff and 17 stuff, which is pretty much predominantly the same thing. Okay, so what I want to start with was those questions. Mostly revising. We'll do revising on this one, and I'll try to do one with editing. I don't know. But for revising ones, and the first one that I wanted to look at were the questions that ask you about, they ask the students about conclusions. So for 2018, that shows up in number 6. And keep in mind that the revising ones are always going to come first because they're scary. So the state decides if they want to put those first. So looking at number 6, some keywords that they are using, if I can get to it. There it is. Okay, so this one says Claire's paper ends abruptly and leaves the reader wondering what happens next. What sentence could she add to the end of her paper? So it's not saying the word conclusion, but we know end of paper and ends abruptly, and we know conclusions go at the end. So it's going to be the last sentence in the passage. So what I tell students to do is to go back and read the last paragraph or the last few sentences, and keep in mind that conclusions, I feel like writing it down. Conclusions wrap up everything. Okay, so they have to know what the passage is about. So if they're trying to answer this question without reading the passage, then they're always going to get it wrong. All right, so it kind of wraps up everything, not just what the last paragraph was about, but what about the whole passage, what it was about. So I'm sure you remember this story. It's about the little boy who wanted to repel. And she wrote the story about a boy who overcame a fear. If you're not looking at these up here with your students, please do so, because you can get a lot of information from that that'll help you answer the revising question. So he overcame, the fear of repelling. I'm going to go up a few. It says, Jerry suddenly realized he had made it to the bottom. His legs were still a bit shaky as he gave Andrea a high five, but Jerry knew exactly what his first words would be now that he had made it down. Okay, and that's it. So he knew what his first words would be. That kind of gives us a clue. That means he's going to say something. And in number 6, only 2 sentences. Let me get back to it. Only 2 sentences have Jared saying something, and that is G and that is J. All right. So if students don't get that, then they're stuck with all 4 answers. Those students who understand that, they will eliminate F and H. But we'll look at all 4 of them just to give you some justification there. Remember, it's wrapping up the whole story. The title says now or never. And then in the beginning, it says he overcame a fear. So which one of these sounds like the last of the paper, like the story is over? Is a good way to say the end without actually saying the words the end. So which one comes at the last one? He said he had finally made it down. He had actually repelled. It sounds like the end of a story, but if you remember back in the other sentence, he had already made it down. And we have a sentence like that already says he had made it down. I want to say it was sentence 27, but I'm old and I can't remember, so we'll flip back. And it says Jared, 27. Jared suddenly realized he had made it to the bottom. So we're not going to add a sentence again that says he had made it down. Oh, look at that. He had made it down. There it is at the end again. So that's the benefit of reading this last paragraph again. One of the many benefits of reading the last paragraph again. All right, so we're not going to put that down as our answer. G says, where is my snack? He asked the counselor. This one's completely off topic. All right. He didn't have a doubt about what he wanted to say. That still kind of ends abruptly, And it still leaves the reader wondering what happens next. Remember, we're looking for something that wraps up everything. All right, so that's the wrong answer again. And this one says, "Can I do it again?" He shouted with excitement. Okay, so this one is obviously, going to be our answer. But we have to know that ends abruptly is important and a good way to end the paper. So it's saying that it stops and I need to wrap it all up. Which one of these sentences is going to help us do that? All right, so that's one from this 2016. Let me look at the one from 2017, and I'll make this one kind of short. And it shows up for us in 2017 in number 8. If my memory serves me correctly. That's past number 8. No, it's not. Yeah, it's this story. It's the Pay It Forward story. All right, it's the Pay It Forward story. So again, Derek's paper ends abruptly. If your students don't know what that means, please explain to them what abruptly means. Which sentence can be added to the end of the paper? Here it is again, end of the paper, to close it more effectively. So something that closes it up, wraps it all up. So conclusion. That's what I read. Equals everything. All right, so everything that we're talking about has to be wrapped up in a good old conclusion. So this story was about paying it forward. And up here it says, in the following paper, Derek tells about a fun way to help others. So his helping others is paying it forward. And we're going to look at the last few sentences to kind of help us get a good conclusion that wraps up everything. Not wraps up the last paragraph, but wraps up everything. So let's see where we came from. More than 1,000 drivers in a row paid for the order of the car behind them. So if you receive a random act of kindness one day, I'm sure you know exactly what to do. All right. So what are you going to do? So we're looking for something that has a verb. It says, what are you going to do? F says, it's nice. Yeah, off topic. G says, I sure would. That still doesn't give us a good inclination of a good conclusion. It sounds like it's at the end, but it doesn't give us what you would do. You can say thanks, or you can pay it forward. Now, looking at these two options, both of them are good. Of course, you're going to always have two good ones, but both of them are good. However, the passage is about a fun way to help others. That's not saying thank you. Paying it forward. It says pay it forward. That's the title. Hello, people. All right, so this one's easy. The answer is pay it forward. You guessed it. All right, so when you have those, and it's only going to be one on the test, okay? So one question, that's one way, there's one more questions that students can get right. If you can make sure that they know that what abruptly means, and that it goes at the end, and that they need to go back and read the last few sentences and not just wrap up. I can't explain this enough, express this enough. Not just wrap up the last sentence or the last paragraph. They have to wrap up the entire paper. Remember, conclusion equals everything. All right, so make sure that you are teaching them that way. All right, those are conclusions. I'm going to make another video. Bye.